So yeah, my topic. Jordan might not be able to participate in this very much, but it's Final Fantasy VII Remake. Came out last year now. Jeez, it's been. Or has it been
It's
2
more
years
than
now?
that.
It's
Yeah.
been a little longer than that.
Holy crap! It has been
2 years, I
because
think.
2020. Yeah, 2020 it came out. So it's been out for a few years now.
Do you have a topic yet, Jordan? Keep thinking.
I do, yeah.
All right, that's
I
good.
actually do.
And so, kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on first when you guys think Part 2 is coming out, because obviously, it wasn't a full. We know that it wasn't a full remake. Like they only did the Midgar section, which is only the first, not even third of the game.
No, it's like disc 1.
Yeah, not even fully.
Not
disc
even full
one.
disc
Not
1.
even, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I think he gets to Niflheim. Is that when disc 1 ends? No, I can't remember when disc 1 ends. Actually.
Nibelheim? They get out of Midgar for sure.
Yeah, I know they get out of Midgar. I can't think of how
You
far
go
they.
to Rocket Town.
Oh
right?
no, I'm thinking. Is that the Black Materia come after?
I'm not sure. It's been
It's
so
been
long.
a while since I last
Anyway.
actually played.
Regardless,
You get to
there's
Junon?
still a lot of the game that they need to remake.
You don't get to Junon, right?
I don't think you get that far on the
You go to
first
Calm, though, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Whatever.
But yeah, regardless.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Regardless,
Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, sounds right.
they have a ton of the game left to remake.
Yep.
So kind of, what are you guys'
Just give
thoughts
me
on when
multiple
that's coming out?
ones.
And what do you guys think the next section is going to be? Because obviously they're not going to put all the rest of the game into one game. That's way too massive. Especially
They'll have
since
3 at least.
since they expanded the kind of shorter side of Midgar
3
into the
episodes.
Wait.
whole 40-hour game.
Hold on. So, how big of a game was the original?
Large.
It was pretty big.
If you
Was
said they're
it
not
3
gonna-
discs? It was 3 discs, right?
Three
Yep,
discs.
3 discs.
Back at the good old days when there were multiple disc games.
But the thing is though, is one of the things they did with Remake is they
They added a lot more.
expanded upon it. So like, Midgar is probably the first maybe 6 hours of the game, if that.
Could be more than that. to be
So-
It depends on how you play.
It's usually like a 40-50 hour game, and it was like the first portion of the game was Midgar. Well, this new one is like that's all the game is, and it's the full like 40-hour game, and because they
So
fleshed.
that's not
it
even
out-
a remake. That's just a.
No, it is.
Oh,
a
it's
remake.
a
It is
complete
There's just part
remake.
one.
It's 100%
Yeah.
remake. They just have
It's
fleshed it
totally
out more.
revamped
They've
game.
expanded upon
Totally
it.
different.
They've done a lot more with like the lore and stuff. But no, it's 100%
combat
remake.
gameplay is completely different.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
So that's a whole new game.
It's a
No,
remake.
it is
Okay.
the exact same
Same
story.
world.
Well,
so.
It's the same story.
Yeah.
It's just
They just slowed it
they
down.
added a
by-
little bit, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
did they add a bunch or slow it down?
So
they-
they add a bunch,
bunch.
just a little bit.
They added a lot of contextualization on our characters, like so you get to meet
cinematics
characters
and-
more.
yeah.
And like the stuff they did change is actually kind of in the story as well.
Mhm.
So like there's these like ghosts in the game, that'll pop up, and it's kind of right when events are changing from the original like story.
The minor, maybe just above minor changes
Mhm.
show up as these spirits
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
game. So
Yeah.
it's like visually you can see like this is the change.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
It actually works really well.
yeah, it's really cool actually. So kind of yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on when it's coming out, and how far do you think the next part will go? Do you think we're gonna get super far into the rest of the story, or because my original thought was it was gonna be kind of set up like the disc setup was before we knew a whole bunch about it. We just had heard like it's not gonna be the whole game in one. I was like, oh, so they might do like disc 1, disc 2, and disc 3 as part 1, part 2, and part 3. But obviously now Midgar is the only the only thing in part 1, so it's gonna have to be more than 3 parts. So I don't know where they're gonna end off.
They'll
next
cut
section
things
though.
though too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm thinking 3 or 4 parts
3 or 4
is what it
parts.
will be. I would guess. As to when it comes out, next year or the year after, probably, because I think they didn't stop working on it.
Yeah.
But also 16 comes out this year.
Is it still this year?
Is it this year
Let me actually double check that.
We shouldn't.
or
have-
next year? So
So we can
depending
just
on
have
when
Terraria
that
look it
comes out, I mean that it'll be after that at some point.
16 looks cool. I'm excited for that.
I don't know. Like, it looks interesting and stuff. I'd have to get into it with the story and everything, but so far it hasn't blown me away story-wise.
Supposed to release on June 16th.
Yep.
We should play that
I'm definitely going to play
Like, as a group. We should start it together. That'd be sick.
it. I'd be down. But
Although there's no official release date. That's just what's been
5 games?
insinuated from this point.
5 games left. They're going 6 parts then. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
If that is true,
Mhm.
we'll see. I don't know what they're gonna do. There's a lot of material for them to use, and if
Yeah.
they add more, it's gonna be even more.
I just
like-
want them to get to Vincent, man. He's my
I bet
favorite
that'll
character.
be next part.
You think so?
I think
He
so.
comes later though.
He's not that far though,
Mm-mm.
because is it Nibelheim where he's at?
Yeah, because he's in the
Yeah.
he's in the house.
You just
he's
have to go in the mansion and do the
Yeah.
extra stuff underneath,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do that first time you go there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. So I
And
guess
that's not too far after.
Yeah, that's not too far, I guess.
But
Yeah.
you know what I'm waiting for the most?
Who's that?
Golden Saucer date
Yes. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
with Barrett.
I forget you could do that.
Yeah, it's an
No,
achievement,
I love
man.
that. I
There's
love
a part of this game, Jordan. It's like an entertainment place called the Golden Saucer. It's just like
Okay.
It's like a music park.
amusement park with games
Okay.
and arcades and everything that you can play too. And during the story, you have to go there at one point, and there's like unknown like checks throughout the game to add points to different characters of your party because you
Okay.
go on a date with one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like don't get any, there's 2 main like
Female.
3 totally. I
Yeah.
guess you can go with Yuffie too, I think. And then
Oh, yeah.
there's Tifa and
Mhm.
and Aerith. And those are the main ones. And they start like you start with like 30 points I think for Aerith, and then like 15 or 20 for Tifa. And
Mm-hmm.
but if you get none of like the check marks through the game for that, you can go with Barrett, who's this big black guy who is like one of the team leaders of this terrorist
Yeah.
group. And you can go on a bro date with him. And it's
Yeah.
so funny.
It's really funny.
It's hilarious.
It's
Well, at
really
least we know
funny.
he's not racist.
He has like -5 or like -15 like starting score, so he's the hardest one to get. But if you know what you're doing, you can get him as having a bro date. It's so funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
But
No, it's
I'm
great.
definitely going for that.
That's kind of like this is similar but different. I was watching. Have you seen PewDiePie's playthrough of Skyrim at all?
Mm-mm.
He's been live streaming it and he uploads on a highlight channel like 20-minute episodes. Well, he ended up going and like finding he ended up fighting some dude, some guy out of town was like, "Hey, I bet 100 gold I could beat you in a fight."
Fist fight, dude.
So after he beats this dude down, he talks to him. He's like, "Hey, so I see you're wearing an amulet of Mara. You interested in marrying me?" So he's like, "Yes, I guess." So
That's funny.
Well done.
after he beats the crap out of this guy, he goes and he marries him.
Quality relationship.
But kind of on top of the Golden Saucer stuff, I'm interested to see how
There's
they
a
do
lot.
the Chocobo stuff.
Oh, the
Like-
hold on, the what?
Chocobo.
Chocobo.
It's
Okay.
You've
definitely
seen
it.
Chocobos.
They're
man.
Those
I-
birds that you mount and
They're like
ride.
yellow ostrich.
Oh!
looking things.
I thought he said Chocobro at first, and that's why I was confused.
I mean, they can be bros, but
I was like,
Chocobo.
"You
yeah.
excited for
Chocobo.
The
Chocobo?"
huge yellow birds that you
Yes.
ride
Got you.
on.
I
Well,
have
not all
seen
are yellow.
those. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's just
Most
the
of them
common.
are
The
yellow.
best ones are gold.
that's like saying, well, not
just saying
all
what he's
Charmanders
seen.
are orange,
Yeah.
but
Do
you
you
can
think-
get the
I'm just
gold
saying what
one.
he's seen.
But like, so what do you think? How do you think that's?
Well,
I
yeah,
hope
the
they go
colors as well,
super in
man.
depth.
I do too.
I hope that like you could. It's like a mini game like Triple Try that you can spend hours and
Yeah,
hours
I,
on.
I really do too. Honestly.
I hope they don't like hide required items behind that because that
Yeah.
would suck for a lot of people. But I hope they do make it where you can spend hours on it because I want to,
Yeah.
which I did in the original game to get the golden. But
Yeah.
Took
Well,
a
see,
long
that's
time.
the thing. Like, and it might just be because I played it, later and, had help with that section. But I felt like I just wanted more of the Chocobos breeding. I actually liked it quite a bit, and I was like, oh,
I mean, you had to
There's
do a bunch though.
yeah, you have to do a bunch. But it was like, I felt like it was, like, I guess I've heard all this. Oh, it's a hard side quest. It's so tedious.
It's
and
tedious.
it is tedious. It is tedious.
Tedious
Don't
is the
get me
best way
wrong.
to describe
Imagine
But-
not having internet though.
Yeah,
That's
the
freaking
thing.
hard.
That's the thing. And so I think I might have enjoyed it more.
It's
then.
just even more tedious than it already is
But-
at that point. But
I just wanted I like the breeding aspect of Chocobo, getting all the Chocobos and then getting the golden finally and getting Knights of the Round, and it's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But
in the original game, you can just land your ship at a certain angle on the, and then it will drop you off the cliff, so you can just run and get it.
that's so stupid.
I love those old school glitches like
so wait,
that
did
that they
fix
can't
it in
patch.
the
Yeah, I don't
Like-
think you can do that. I would assume so.
Excuse
yeah.
me.
At least. I haven't gotten to that part of this.
That's so stupid.
I love those old glitches that they can't go back and patch in the originals because obviously there's no way to patch it,
Yeah.
and so it's just part of that game.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what makes it
gives
gives
it
it
charm.
charm.
It
Yeah,
gives
exactly.
it charm. I love that
Exactly.
stuff.
Yep.
Like, gosh, I'm trying to think of any more of those things.
There's one in Earthbound. It's called the tent glitch, and there's a in 3. That's what it's called. It's the third town in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You go there and there's a circus tent, and if you like try to talk to a specific like corner of the game, like in the tent, just like sit in this corner and try to talk or interact with it. If you keep spamming it, you eventually like the game starts slowing down, and a whole bunch of crazy stuff can happen, like from deleting your save file to like taking you to the very end of the game and like teleporting you to the final boss to like giving you items you're not supposed to have, like just pretty much anything you can think of has and still continues to have. Like people are doing this glitch and just
And
finding
still
new
finding
things,
new things.
like still finding new things it takes you to in the game.
Interesting.
And it's really actually cool glitch. So I actually have like on my SNES Classic, I have a save file for like one of my save states. It's just that for that purpose.
Yeah.
It's just a save file with me standing right in front of that corner in the tent. And so I just click on it and then I can go through it and be like, I'm going to try to do the tent glitch today and see what I
Nice.
get.
Speaking of like cool glitches, have you ever heard about the guy that was speedrunning Super Mario 64? The weird glitch that happened in the clock tower level.
Not sure I know what
So-
you're talking about.
So he jumped. He ended up jumping and like clipping through part
Was that
of
the fake one?
No, as far as I know, it's real.
I know there's
But-
a couple out there that have
As
said,
far
this
as
is
I
crazy
know,
thing, and they like it's just hacked and stuff. But
as far as I know, this is real. But
okay.
this guy ended up like jumping and he clipped through the ceiling at the top of the clock tower and then like was able to get to a star and he cut off like 10 seconds off the speedrun or something. And they can't figure out how or why it happened. And the only thing that they can come up with after like tons of people reviewing this and after they can't recreate it, the only thing they can come up with is that there was a solar flare that in the code like flipped a 0 to a 1 or a 1 to a 0. And like it just happened to be at that perfect time and they can't recreate it.
Interesting.
Like there was a
I feel
solar.
like it can't be that.
There was a. That's the only thing that they can come up with. I think it was in a Game Ranks
Interesting.
video, if I remember right.
I think
It was
I have
like,
heard about that.
if I remember correctly, I saw it in a Game Ranks video. They were talking about it there, but they said it was something along the lines of like a solar flare flipped one of the binary codes and like gave it a 0 instead of a 1 or a 1 instead of a 0 or something, and it just happened to be that perfect
Interesting.
timing where it was 1 in a trillion chance that it would ever happen.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. That's interesting.
I think that might be the one why I heard people call it fake because they can't recreate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
But-
interesting. But
Yeah, so getting back on topic here, just kind of bringing it back. Another question I have about this is, what do you think progression is going to look like? Because,
I hate it in the first one.
well, I'm talking mainly about what
That was a quick answer.
I'm talking mainly about.
There's no grind.
No, that for sure that's one of the
so
issues I
annoying.
have. But no, the idea of like, how are they going to keep the like levels and stuff? Because like.
How are they going to
Obviously,
keep
this was-
story progression throughout games?
No,
that what you're talking
because I
about,
can
or-
see the story working, but more or less like items and stuff. Because like, obviously this was all one main.
Are you
this
going to
was-
start over?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what they're going to
I'm
do.
very confused about that because okay, I could see that for the next part. Like you're getting out of Midgar, you kind of start over. You have to grind and get stuff. But like once you get to the next parts, like you're gonna need like Knights of the Round and all of your materia for like the final bosses, and you're not gonna want to grind in this final part of the game to get them all back.
And how
when you-
items like aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
it's
very
weird.
interested to see how they do that. Like if they like do some system where like if you have save data from the previous one, then it will carry over. Because
It carries over items, materia, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, weapons done,
Yeah.
but it starts you at the base level.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because I know there's been games that do that, but I just like when it gets to the later parts, like I said, I don't see how that's gonna work very well.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I had thoughts about that when it first came out too.
Yeah.
But
See,
I'm not sure. Go ahead,
I'm not
Weston.
really sure either. I'm wondering if they're not going to increase the level cap and just increase the difficulty as they go further down, That sounds really, really hard for them to do and almost impossible to balance.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to do some way to nerf you back down between the individual games.
Yeah.
I think that's not a good way to do it though. That's a grind without the grind.
Yeah.
Like for not or like with, not for the sake of the grind.
Yeah.
You don't actually get anywhere,
Yeah.
but it's still that grind. But the worst part of it,
Uh-huh.
all I could see is, I don't know. You said get harder. Maybe it increases the level cap, but not as much. Like so, you can go to 50, right?
I think so.
Say you add 25 more.
Let you go to 75 and then just have this be a 3-part where you get up to 99 at the top.
Maybe, I don't know.
That makes sense.
Like,
Borderlands did that where they would increase the level cap with each DLC, so maybe they could
Yeah.
go with like each
Yeah.
not re-release,
but you
like
you
whatever.
could go like true Vault Hunter mode and everything like that, and you just increase levels of everything, and you do it all again.
Yeah, but I'm saying like for this though, maybe, and this is from someone that knows nothing about it, where it's like on, part 1 of the
Right.
5-part, you get to level 25, and then part 2 you can get to 50, and like go that way maybe.
See, I'm just not sure how they're going to, how much they're going to pack into the next portion. If it's
Yeah.
going to be like 25 levels is enough to get you through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it's going to take the same amount of time to get to that 25 as it did to get to 50 in the first
Yeah.
one. And that's weird with how combat was in that game. I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, it's gonna
well.
be weird. And even just not even levels. I'm more like just concerned more about how they're doing like items and materia, mainly materia, because
It's
in the original game you have the whole game to
such
like
less
grind
important.
materia, get these special summons like Knights of the Round, and like grind those up and max those levels out on those. But now you're cutting the game up into bits. So how are you going to carry over the progression of like weapon levels and materia levels? Because like they've introduced that with like weapons have their own levels in this game and stuff like that. So I'm very interested to see because like
upgrading your weapons to make them better and whatnot.
because like I said, like you get to that final part, am I gonna have to go and start that final part, like that whatever it is, part 3 or part 4 or whatever, and say, oh well, I gotta go collect all the materia that I had in the previous game and level
I
that
don't know
back
how
up.
it's going to work.
I just don't.
It's an
I don't know.
interesting debacle for them to have to overcome. But
Honestly, I don't think they could. Looking at how the game itself works, get rid of the items between games, I think they're going to have to do some finagling with levels more so than anything. I just don't think, I look at how the game was originally built and how I imagine they're proceeding through here. They're going to have to let you keep those items. Otherwise, it becomes pointless for you to collect the items in the
Yeah,
individual.
exactly.
it takes worth away from things
Yeah.
way too much.
'Cause-
That's what
yeah.
happened even in the first game. I think they took the worth of your things that you grind for in the original game away a lot. I don't know. It was just very different
Yeah.
than what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens too, because like,
I wanted them to make a turn-based version.
I agree.
Is
That
that,
really
how
would not be the hardest for them to implement.
is that how the original was
Yeah.
turn-based? Okay.
Completely different, yeah.
Okay. Got you.
I'm interested to see like the way it isn't like the remake, how it's been translate to like the open world aspect. It's gonna look like, I think it's gonna look like 15, which I've played a little bit of 15 and I want to finish it. But I've watched a lot of 15 and I like 15 quite a bit.
It's even like more subdued than 15 though. Like 15 you could go out and grind.
Yeah. See, but that's the thing.
Like-
I feel like once it opens up, it's going to fix that issue of not being able to grind, because you're going to be able to actually walk around this open world and like find monsters. The thing about the first part of Remake was like it was all kind
There's
of
a
like
certain-
hallways.
Yeah.
And it was kind of I have not played 13, but it was kind of the issue I've heard people have with 13. It's just all like linear pathways. And
For a bit until you get to open world Pulse, but
yeah, but it's like, which I personally like don't. I obviously
was
would love
fine,
open
like
world
it-
stuff, but like Midgar wasn't like that in the original game either. Like it was
No.
very linear in
Yeah.
the original game, because it's not.
to an extent.
It's
It
not
was
a-
just
yeah.
a very smaller amount of things that you could do
Yeah.
too. But
And you didn't spend as much time there in the first place.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah,
See, here you're spending a lot of time there. And
Yep.
then the inability to go off and do a whole lot of other things, but it's just a railroad.
yeah, yep.
like I understand like the boundaries and issue with like 13, like the linear aspect and stuff, but you could grind in 13.
Yeah.
if you wanted.
mhm.
And the story made it all worth it anyway, because
Was
the
it-
story was actually really good.
Was it turn-based too, or did that when they stopped doing turn-based?
It's like hybrid. Like it's
It's-
real-time action event a lot of time, but turn-based.
Was it was it random battles? Like
Yes
just-
and no. Like there were you would walk around and monsters would appear near you, and if you ran into them, you would be in a battle.
Gotcha.
And it would be like its own special zone, kind of thing. Like you're in a battle. You're not like moving around, evading monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
But and then you have an ATB scale.
ATB.
Active time
scale. Yep.
battle.
And you have a certain amount of things that you can, moves that you can do or whatever, and you have to kind of base it what you want.
Gotcha.
And then there's a paradigm system. It was called. It's actually I kind of liked it, to be honest. Each character had 3 different paradigms they could do, whether that's like a medic or a sentinel or a ravager, commando, saboteur, and I can't remember what the other one is. And then you could make different combinations of characters with different paradigms, and you could switch through different paradigms whenever you wanted.
That's cool.
It actually was pretty fun, to be honest. It gets a lot of crap.
No,
but
I found that part to actually be really interesting.
It was actually pretty unique in that way, but I don't know what they're gonna do
Yeah.
going on with 7 though.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I mean, I think I really have enjoyed Remake so far. Obviously I'm very new to Final Fantasy, and Final Fantasy VII I just beat for the first time, a year before that came out.
You're welcome.
But yeah, and I'm very glad I got into it. But I think I like it because it hits a lot of it's just, I look at it more of like a retelling of like a movies type thing. So it's like just kind of an what do you call them, like interactive, like kind of like your Detroit Become Humans, even though it is there's way more to do in it,
The interactive story.
but like it's
scripted though.
Yeah, it's scripted,
It's not,
and I felt like
our choices make big differences. But
but I felt like the whole, keeping it to where there's no like random battles was like, it was mainly around the world, right? Like, so we know what Final Fantasy VII was like from playing it back, in the original one, and like grinding and stuff on that. But I think this one's meant to be more of a story focused one, and like trying to retell the story in like in a bigger, broader way. And so
adding
like
cinematics.
Yeah, adding
which-
cinematics.
It's just giving the love that the fans want,
Yeah.
to things. Seeing those interactions
Mhm.
outside of the terrible,
PS1
character
graphics.
models from the original game,
Yeah.
giving you that glorious looking visuals that
Yeah.
you want. Like
Mhm.
it's, I don't know, it's kind of a love letter to fans, but
Yeah, that's
also
exactly what it is.
doing a new thing,
Uh-huh.
and it hits and misses in certain aspects. Like
Mhm.
I'm really glad they did it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Mhm.
interesting. I like the turn-based old school stuff. So
Yeah, I do too, and I think I prefer that. But I think I like how
it's gorgeous.
they've kind of done Remake, and
Yeah.
how it's kind of more of a. I kind of look at it as like they went with the perspective of, these people know this game, right? Like it's one of
Mhm.
the best selling games of all time, and they understand how this game works. So let's just take the story and let's modernize it so it's like what people like envisioned as a kid, like what they saw with those crappy PS1 graphics, and like kind of take that and make it look like what they envisioned as a kid, and make it kind of like a more story focused game, which I kind of like. But yeah, Remake, I'm interested to see where it goes from here.
Yep.
So
So move on then.
yeah.
Yep.